Hello, hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to this week live session. Today with me I have Osvaldo Mauro, and like I said in my teaser post, Osvaldo, other than a friend, he is a great and a real, finally, hotel distribution professional and expert, and this is exactly what we're going to talk about today. Mainly talking about Metasearch and the whole world that essentially goes around the hotel online distribution. Now, first of all, hi, Osvaldo, how are you? And welcome to this live.
Hi, Alessandro. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me here.
Okay, good. I hear you well. Hope everything is fine. Everyone hears well. Now, Osvaldo, I start immediately. Let me kick it off because you and I mean, we know each other. And oftentimes we talk about online distribution, and there is one thing that I really like about you, and that you oftentimes talk about, is a sort of analogy between hotel distribution, especially hotel online distribution, and the finance. Right? What can you tell us about it?
I think there are a lot of analogies because in the hotel distribution, you have to leverage some risk in order to get a volume of sales. And your appetite of risk that you are buying from the market, it is rewarded with a volume of sales that you receive with a specific cost. And so this kind of trading is very similar to the financial trading. And I will explain in my presentation how, if you go for the safe way, you will probably get a low amount of volume of sales for a certain cost. And if you risk more, you can get a higher amount of potential sales if you're able to manage this, but with a higher risk. So it is like in the financial trading
Right.
overall. It's to be understood what are the main KPIs and the leverage that you can use in order to bring volume in terms of booking in a certain cost and with a certain risk.
Right, because and this is the exact reason why I wanted to have you in this live, because I still can't help but get a little bit crazy when I hear someone saying that everyone needs to be on Metasearch, everyone needs to be on Metasearch, without considering the homework of what needs to be done before being on Metasearch and what it costs to be on Metasearch. It's not just about having more visibility, but of course there are costs. And what is a very, very, very simple thing to understand, but still is not really fully understood, is that if you go for a certain business model, which is probably the safest business model, is not necessarily the one that will bring the most opportunities and the most revenue. Now, I know that you have something to share, like a presentation. Do you want me to share the screen
Yeah,
now?
you can open and we can go on, so I can present myself as well. And
Okay.
since we are speaking in a moment of difficulty for the industry, I would like to introduce myself saying that you probably see me like a consultant or an expert, but in my past I've been working as an hotelier and I've been working in a major OTA. So in a moment like this, I see hoteliers that are struggling to bring revenue to their business, but I deeply understand the situation in which we are. And for this reason, I don't want to speak like a guru or like an expert. It doesn't sound very nice to me in this moment. So what I'm trying to do is to bring you value, saying something that is very clear to me and is a really clear path to follow in order to bring business to your hotels in a certain risk. So you decide how much risk and then how much you want to spend on this risk, and the reward is going to be the business that you bring to your own hotel. So, in few words, now I am CEO of a company that does inventory management like we used to do with the allotments, but everything automatically and everything predictively using artificial intelligence and some great technical tricks. But overall, we do inventory management. Before of this, I've been artificial intelligence director in a Metasearch tool, a tool used by doing campaigns on Metasearch, which is called Ads Hotel.
Mhm.
And in the past, what interests probably the most of you is that I've been working in a major OTA as content manager. Yeah,
So
you
you
can go on.
also work on the other side of the bench. That's what we like.
Yeah, that's it.
Happy to have you on this side of the bench.
Yeah.
All right.
Still,
So,
I'm a consultant for an OTA, so I
oh
see
yeah.
what they're doing.
Oh, you served the devil. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, true. Yeah, I forgot
I
that. But
cannot tell name, but
yeah, no, but you need to know them, right? You know, for better consult what the hotels eventually should be doing. We also need to know what happens at home of the Davids, you know, in their house, and for see and understand what we need to do. All right. So I think let me just quickly check. I think the presentation is up and running. Yes, it's just on a tiny little screen. It's not that big. Hopefully. Just a little bit of a technical glitch in the sense that Osvaldo will be talking, but I will be managing his presentation. So eventually, if we are not necessarily all the times aligned, just be patient with us. But okay, I think you are ready. You are ready to go.
yeah, what we're talking about is large-scale distribution. I like to say it like this because when we think about hotels, we think about a distribution where the hotelier is doing a work that is not properly his own work of host. It is a work of moving inventory and prices within channels that are fought for large chains or are fought for OTAs in like the Metasearch. They are not really fought for hoteliers. So it's not easy to do large scale distribution with the hospitality in the hospitality industry. And some of you may be expert already and some others may have less experience. What I would like to show you is the path I follow in order to sell product in the market online when there is low demand or when there is some demand. I cannot sell product if there is no demand, but this may be a good time to study how to do the distribution when some demand is going to come back. So it's the right time to think about this thing. We're going to talk about Metasearch and online sales. The first thing I say is that every customer that comes in our hotel, when he arrives, we are very happy that we have a customer checking in the hotel. But we have to think that every customer coming from the online comes with its own baggage. And it comes with a baggage, I have to say, of cost. Because every online revenue that we get is not the same as another. Every single sale has its own cost. If you think about a customer coming from an OTA, we can say, okay, this is a customer coming from this OTA. I get this booking with a certain commission that I have to pay to the OTA. Probably then you have to think that a part of the commission you have to pay some other fees that we will see what they are. And if I have a direct booking, I'm even happier because I think, okay, here I have someone coming directly to me, but probably I spent some money in advertising and getting these direct sales. Or if I get booking through wholesalers, I have to give these wholesalers really low net rates that in the market we call them scalping, because when the wholesalers pay in advance, they pay for really low prices. So every customer we get has his own price that comes with the booking. You can go on the next slide. So to measure this, what OTAs use and what I pray every morning when I wake up is the CPS. It is the cost per sale. This is a unique KPI that I use to measure the efficiency of the online sales. What does it mean? Cost per sale is a total cost that had generated an intermediated or direct sales. It could be, for example, like I was saying before, I receive a booking from a major OTA, and this booking it is composed of some cost. For example, I pay 18% commission to this OTA. Then maybe this customer is coming from a fidelity program of the OTA. So I have to give an additional 10% discount to the OTA. That for me is a cost. So we go to 28%. Then the OTAs, they run continuously promotion for Easter, for Valentine, for Christmas, for every kind of moment in the year. And they ask us for giving them discounts for this promotion. And if we don't do it, we get delisted or we get with a lower ranking in the result. So we are obliged to give them an additional promotion. And this sale come to me with, in this case, 38 commission that I pay to this OTA. In this particular example, which is extreme with a high commission and a fidelity and so on. On top of this, if I want, I can also calculate the last minute cancellation rate that I get from an OTA that is probably deleting me some bookings that I cannot resell because they are deleted at the last minute. So the cancellation rate is a cost as well. So you can go on, Alessandro. In the next example, I have you to think that you are an OTA. And if you are an OTA, you have to understand that you are buying a sale from advertising and you're selling this sale to the hotel from which you get a commission. By the way, these slides, I used them in an event in Italy that is called On Hospitality by Antonio Maresca. That's why you see the logo on the bottom. So let's think that we are an OTA. We get a booking for 100 euros. But we, as an OTA, we spend money on advertising to get this booking. And for example, we spent 10% of this booking on Google Hotel Ads, which is the major source of bookings for an OTA, a meta search from Google. And then I had other advertising costs. In this example, I say I have 5% on social network cost of the advertising to get this booking. So my cost of the sale is 15%. Then I sell this sale to the hotel, from which I get 18% commission. So my net margin as an OTA is 3%.
Very small.
Mm-hmm. So that's where an OTA is trading visitors. So it's trading advertising per bookings. This is the work of an OTA. For sure, they have other things to do, like customer service, like getting the customer come back. So there is the lifetime value of the customer that they get from advertising. But if we think like the raw work that an OTA does is spending money on advertising, getting customers and selling customers to the hotels. That's what an OTA does. And all this for a small margin. You as an hotel, you have a much more, an higher power to buy from the market, to buy from the online a customer at certain cost and having directly the potential of having the full revenue of this customer coming to you. From which you deduct the cost of the advertising without paying the commissions to the OTAs. But the thing to understand is that the CPS is the main metric that an OTA uses to measure a value of a booking. You can go on, Alessandro. So after this, we see that no sales comes free. So if we understand that even the returning customers have a cost. The direct customer we have a cost of advertising. The customers that comes from OTAs have a cost of commission. So we have to think about a balance. On one side, I have the revenue volume of the volume of sales that I can get from a sales campaign, a distribution campaign. On the other side, I have the profit, so the net profit I get from this revenue. Because in the middle, I have the cost of getting these sales done. So I can get these sales done through many channels, direct or indirect. But the thing that I have to measure is how much they really cost to me. So when I understand how much I'm able to spend, at what risk, in order to get a volume of sales, I can then get a profit that comes from a revenue, deducting the cost of these sales from where I get a net profit. Higher CPS means higher volume of sales, less risk, and lower profit. So this is a balance that I have to find. I have to measure and I have to find. Because if I go blind on this, I will probably pay a lot of cost of CPS, maybe measuring the revenue I get, but without an idea of what is the net profit I get. And most of all, it is difficult, especially when there is low demand, to get a decent volume of revenue, of sales, with an acceptable CPS to get a profit that
Break
for
even.
me.
Yeah, sure.
So this is the things that are the daily routine in OTAs, and sometimes it's not so easy to do for an hotel. And in the next slide, we can see how to balance the cost of sales. Let's make some example how to measure the cost of sales. Let's see the direct sales. For example, I can have a booking that comes to me, and it comes to me with some money that I already spent on Metasearch to get this booking. And also I spent money in Google search because I pay Google for doing traditional Google Ads campaign for getting bookings. Then I manage a newsletter with my customers that I already have. And these I spend some money and some time to do the newsletter. And also to get direct bookings, I give the customers a discount, or I pay for some money to do advertising on social networks. These are the basic costs that I can calculate. Then can be others, like, for example, having a website, a booking engine, a channel manager is a cost to me that I can split within the bookings that I get directly, and I can give a cost of each direct booking I get for paying the infrastructure that I have. This is an example of the things that I have to have in mind when I get a direct sales in terms of cost. When we think about intermediated sales, for example, from OTAs or from wholesalers as well, I have to pay commissions, as we said before. I have to pay for loyalty programs in which many times it's good to be there because I get a higher volume of sales at lower profit because I have to pay for the loyalty program, but I can get a higher volume of sales. I have recurring promotions, and many times I have to pay over commissions or to fulfill the payments of these bookings. I have payment cost, for example, for the cost of virtual cards, and as we said before, the last minute cancellations. So these are the other things that I have to keep in mind when I have to calculate the cost of intermediated sales. How to calculate this? This is a little bit more difficult, but I have to have a methodology on how to calculate this cost, because not all of these costs weight the same in order to calculate the total cost of getting a booking, the CPS. And the cost should be calculated using an attribution model. Here, this is something a little bit more technical in marketing, but we can say an example. In getting a direct booking, for example, from a Metasearch, I usually use the last click, the last interaction. So I say this booking comes to me from a Metasearch, is a user that went on a Metasearch for getting the best price, the best comparison, and it chose to book with me. And so I attribute these sales to the Metasearch 100%. But for example, when I think about other forms of marketing like social media or the other forms of marketing. I don't attribute all the cost of a sale at the last interaction, but I find a balance between all the cost, all the touch points that the user had before to book my hotel. And so I do an average. This average I can do it in many methodology that you can study in this period. But for example, it is the position based or the U-shaped that are attribution models that I suggest, and you can talk about with the people that is managing the advertising for you. So once I choose an attribution model, I have a financial method of understanding the cost of the sales that comes to me. So my suggestion it is, when you get bookings and you have a table of the bookings that you got from different channels, in this table you should have how much it costs to you to get this booking. This is your reference point in order to understand if you're getting volumes of sales for a sustainable cost, or if you're getting volumes of sales for a cost of sales that is not sustainable for you.
Mm-hmm. This is, let me just add a comment on this, because this is an extremely important topic, a super burning topic, these attribution models. And it's what I call the sort of imperfect topic, in the sense that a perfect answer to the question, who should I be crediting for a reservation that I get, it's quite impossible to answer, with 100% of certainty that is the one channel, the one source, the one medium that is responsible and should be rewarded for getting you that reservation. Especially, and even more so now, in these probably post-COVID times, because we talk about it many times. Essentially, the booking window has shrunk, meaning that in terms of number of days, the time that elapses between the booking date and the arrival date has, of course, shrunk completely and consistently. However, within the shortened time span, the number of interaction between the user and the hotel among and across many different channels may even be higher. And that's a little bit of a problem in terms of attributing who is crediting, who needs to take credit for that reservation. This is a problem also for salespeople. We got this discussion with other sales representatives, and they have the same problem. Unfortunately, there is never 100% certain answer. However, it's important to know that and to define what is the most convenient and the most acceptable, let's say, attribution model that you need to go for, and then you stick to it. Like when you said that you suggest to go that way, there may be many different ways of calculating or attributing a reservation in different ways, of course. But that, of course, is what you suggest is the best, is one of the many. And of course, the very important thing is to stick to it. That's really it. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, it's right. The attribution model is something that you should have one to start from something, and then also understand what is the best for you. If we have multiple touch points in a long decision window, it is difficult to attribute the cost from every single advertising that we do.
Sorry for interrupting again. It's important for me, and this is just literally the last interruption, then I'll let you go, but because there are many players who kind of play a role in this sense. I don't want to mention any name, but just think, for example, of those price comparison tools or widgets. It's very easy for them to say, hey, I take credit for this reservation because here the user landed or at least interacted with my tool. But here is where the attribution model plays a role, because it really depends at which stage of the funnel the user interacted with that tool, and whether at that stage of the funnel the tool was so relevant to bring that reservation. You see, it's impossible to answer the question with 100% certainty, in my opinion. However, it's extremely important to know that there is this attribution modeling stuff, and we need to consider it, especially and also when we need to deal with stakeholders, and therefore, because it's very easy to fall into that trap. So Yeah, that's it. I'll let you
Yeah,
go.
I agree. Me and Alessandro are a little bit nerd on this, and we start discussing
Yes, and
each
yeah,
other on this. But it is something that if you let's say get the attribution from someone who is selling you the advertising, you have to think that this person, this company that is giving the attribution is not someone that is over an overview of the situation.
of
Is
course.
something that is too much from his side. Even Google, that is
Yeah,
giving us a free analytic tool like it is Google Analytics, which we get for free. It is very difficult to have a balanced attribution model in Google Analytics
that's true.
from default. You have to work on it and to do your own, and it's not easy. I personally use another tool for attribution, which is something that I buy, I pay, and I know that they do just this, and I don't go with Google Analytics. But Google Analytics is good, but you have to have
To work on
a
it. Yeah, sure.
configuration of it. So when we're ready, and so when we know how much we are used to pay for a booking and how much is sustainable for us to pay to get a certain volume of sales at certain cost, then we may be ready to go to Metasearch, which is like going downstairs to the market on the street where everybody is selling his own product. And Metasearch is the arena of selling the product. It is like the trading exchange. We go in the trading exchange and we propose directly our product, and we're willing to pay a price for getting the sales done. And it's the place where the demand and supply meet at large scale. I say this because for OTAs, the meta search is still one of the major source of bookings that they have for getting the customers. And so it is very important as a channel. It's not the unique channel, but it's very important. And when we go inside the meta search world, we have to think that more CPS risk appetite we have, it means more potential revenue. I say risk appetite because it's not like CPS is something that you pay immediately. But if you have a target CPS and if you're willing to pay a certain amount, a certain commission, let's say like this, of the revenue you get from the sales, then you're ready to handle the system of the meta search. If you go in a meta search without an idea of how much you're willing to risk to get a certain volume of sales, you probably go into the trap of measuring the ROI, which is the return of investment of an advertising that you do, which is something very different. Because I can have a small amount of money that I put on advertising or a moderate amount of money that I put on advertising. Someone managed this money for me, and it gives me a good result. It brings me a good result, and it shows me that the return on the dollars that I spent on this advertising is very good. This is nice, but I have to think at my business overall. So overall, the volumes of sales that I get from the online, how much do they cost to me? Of overall is not a little thing that I do as a test or as an example. It is overall I'm getting, I don't know, 1 million euros of sales from the online. And from this to getting this booking, I spend 200,000 euros. It could be too much, it could be okay. I have to understand this because when I understand this, I'm ready to manage a risk appetite that I have of CPS to get a volumes of sales.
Hmm.
And in this sense, the meta search, they understood that they have a gap with the way of thinking of hotels. And so they started to propose the commission model. And the commission model are the safe way to enter the meta search and to get a modest revenue volume, modest or low revenue volume. Why this? And we can see this in the next slide. It is because I'm taking no risk. So I'm not paying up front for some advertising cost in order to get the volumes of sales. In commission model in Metasearch, I pay after the booking or even after the stay, as in Google Pay Per Stay. But it is something that makes me understand how this works. For example, in Google Pay Per Stay, Google is trying to democratize the Google Hotel Ads, which is the ads they sell in their hotel Metasearch. And you can get bookings paying an easy commission. I say easy, like easy to manage commission when the customer already stayed in my hotel and when I've already deducted all the cancellation that I had, and I've agreed to pay Google Hotel Ads a 12 to 15% commission flat on the booking that I get from these. But this, when I think about this, I have to think that me as an hotel, I pay Google after getting advertising position, comparing to competitors that are OTAs that are able to pay Google upfront for the same positions.
Exactly.
So in the next slide, we understand that Google, to do this, have to give me some visibility that is not given to someone else. And to do this, it needs to break the circle of revenue and cost. And to break this circle, it uses past conversion, past bookings, to estimate the exposure to give to my ads that are not paid immediately. And this is something technical. This is an algo trading. It is something technical that is trying to understand how much visibility I should give as Google to someone who's not paying me for clicks, but is paying me for a later commission. Mm-hmm. So what they do is going very moderate. So they give me less visibility of someone who is paying for these clicks in advantage. Because someone who is paying for these clicks in advantage is someone who is taking more risk, is more willing to take risk and to pay an higher CPS in order to get a higher volumes of sales. So Google is really trying to democratize the instrument of Metasearch for direct hotels. They invented the pay per stay, and in the new version also they aggregate conversion amongst their seller, including OTAs. So they are taking in account not only the conversion that I get as an hotel, which is advertising commission mode using Google Hotel Ads, but also the conversion that the OTAs and the others that are paying the clicks upfront are getting in terms of click-through rate in orders of conversion, to aggregate this conversion and better understand in advantage how much visibility should I give to the hotels paying in commission mode. Also, if you get connected to Google Hotel Ads, you can even get free conversions just connecting the inventory to Google Hotel Ads and without spending for the clicks. This is something that it is like an entry point for running then the campaigns, the proper campaigns in Google Hotel Ads. And Google Hotel Ads as a meta search, I'm talking mainly about this meta search, but because it's getting rid of competitors. So you probably heard about the thing that happened, that some companies are wearing the eye of hedge funds in trading, in which these hedge funds saw these companies as companies that were about to fail. Let's say like this. And you probably heard about GameStop, which is one of these companies that hedge funds in trading, they consider these companies that are listed here like companies that were about to close. Let's say like this. And so we had other traders, from small traders, like for example from Robinhood, that is a web app for trading, that started to to bet against the hedge fund on the companies that they believed in. And amongst these companies, we see Trivago. Trivago is having difficulties in the last period, also because of Google Hotel Ads taking much on this market, and it's really the reference point. Trivago is still very good. It's easier to enter because I have programs to enter for the hotels that are easy. It can bring you a good volume of sales, especially in some areas like Europe, and it's an easy way, but you cannot expect the same volume as in Google Hotel Ads, which is more difficult. But Google Hotel Ads, in the next slide, it is not easy. It is an instrument that is fought for the OTAs and then have been turned in some way, like for example in pay-per-stay campaigns for hotels as well. So when you will deep dive into Google Hotel Ads campaign, especially in pay-per-click campaigns, you will see where it's like pay-per-click, enhanced pay-per-click, bidding multipliers. And this is something that is not rocket science. In times like this, you probably have time to study this kind of market and this kind of distribution channels. But here I have to say that the hard way is the only way, or is the best way, because it is a channel that has a very high potential in terms of volume. It's not easy. There is always the possibility to enter Google Hotel Ads using the commission mode or the pay-per-stay mode, which is a safe entry point. Don't expect high volumes of this, but you're sure of the CPS that you pay, and it's an entry point. And also on Google Hotel Ads, there are 61 integration partners, which are companies that are allowed to bring the hotels into this Metasearch. The majority of them are from EU, and probably you have some tech supplier like a channel manager, a booking engine, or PMS that is already into these 61 integration partners. So you can ask them to help you and go into the campaign advertising in Google Hotel Ads. And about these, we also wrote in my startup, we also wrote a super guide that is free and really goes deep in anything that it is a campaign in Google Hotel Ads. And you can read it as someone who is technical, or read it to understand how to do this campaign better with your agency or with your integration partner. And there are also things that you need to know and to do before of doing this kind of campaigns, like being in Google My Business, having good pictures, managing your revenue management, because these are price campaigns and stuff like this. In addition to this, if you want to even go in the next slide, if you really want to go in getting a higher amount of volume of sales, being sure of the cost that you want to pay for having this exposure, you can get listing in Google Property Promotion Ads. Google Property Promotion Ads are some kind of advertising that you can add to the Metasearch advertising, and it gets you listed in your destination. So it's not something that gets you listed within your hotel as a reseller, as a direct seller, because you are the hotel itself, but in the destination you get position in the result of the destination with your hotel. And we used to say you outbid the other resellers with this advertising that brings you in front inside your destination, not inside your hotel. And in about this, I have to say that you first have to try to use the instrument as a consumer that goes to Google to search for an hotel and search for a destination, and uses Google Travel from mobile, from desktop, because then you understand how the customers see this. And when you're aware of the side of the customer, you can start thinking about being an advertiser there. In the next slide I'm talking about some some words that are hot to me in terms of distribution. And these are just brands that I mentioned to have a look of it. And Travelgatex is a hub. It is a company from Palma. It is very well connected to all the distribution system that you have in the hotel industry, any kind. So it could be a wholesaler, it could be a channel manager for hotel, it could be an OTA as point of sale. So it's really like a trading platform in which the hotel can deliver his inventory and can get distributed, like we used to say in channel managers, but in a wider way.
Mm-hmm.
Then for the hotels that are doing something that can be connected with experiences and with sport, Decathlon, which is a major retailer for sport goods in Europe, is opening again his travel channel. It is called the Decathlon Experience, and is going to sell hotels as well. And last one, I mentioned my company, which is Profiter. It is a startup. We do inventory management, and we allocate the inventory of your hotels in different sales channel in order to get you bookings with a lower cost, the lower cost possible. So we put the inventory in order to get the same revenue with a lower cost, and we do this with managing the allocation of the inventory. And that's it, Alessandro. In the last slide, we have my thank you to the audience and my email and the references. So we have some time.
I just wanted to, I wanted to jump in before. Now, let me get back because I wanted to, oops, probably too much, this one, because I wanted to highlight again the link to your guide with a super guide. You rightly mentioned super guide. Let me also put the link in.
Well, I call it super guide because it's very big. So this is the kind of PDF that you download and you keep it there, and don't print it because it's about 50 pages, I guess.
Yeah,
or more.
No, but I was saying super guide because not because it's you, but because I've read it. I mean, I don't know that you wrote it with your team, but because I've read it, and I can testify. This is by far really want to know more about Google Hotel Ads, how it really works. And considering all the metrics that I mentioned, KPIs, so all the aspects, not just about what you will get, but also how much it will cost, and eventually also how much you can target using the target options and target possibilities, which from a marketing perspective is absolutely great. That is definitely, by far, this is the best guide that I've found so far, by far. So I eventually later on, I will also put the link in the comments of the video. So eventually for you lazy people, if you don't want to copy from here, I will also place the link there. But yeah, that's really interesting. I also wanted to say you mentioned Trivago, of course, because Trivago, then TripAdvisor, but essentially it's right. The Google Hotel Ads is kind of Google, let's say, is kind of overtaking those places. And I remember in one of my last articles, or anyway videos about hotel distribution, like last month or 2 months ago, that I mentioned Snap Travel, which is a sort of new OTAs. Now I call it the new AMOMA. Before we used to have AMOMA, now it has Snap Travel, which works, by the way, in a very interesting way. But the fact is that in one of the case studies, it was search on Google, then TripAdvisor bidding at a cheaper deal as opposed to what the correct or right price was supposed to be. And that deal was coming from Snap Travel. So imagine the circle, how these players interact with each other, because TripAdvisor, which is a Meta, bid on another Meta, which is Google, eventually Google Hotel Ads, in that sense, taking and pulling rates from an OTA that apparently doesn't even exist in terms of contracts with the hotel, because no hotels over the world has a contract with Snap Travel. They simply pull rates. Snap Travel, in that sense, I think they pull rates from the Expedia affiliate network. So imagine you are connected to Expedia and you generate this whole mess in your distribution just because of that, just because apparently, and even more so now, I really believe hotel distribution is going to be a super juicy cake, because the players are becoming even more aggressive, and everyone wants a piece of that cake. But yeah, that's pretty much just to highlight what to support what you have to say and what you said before. I have one question about the wholesalers, because you mentioned before wholesalers. What's the role of the wholesalers now, in your opinion?
Well, the wholesalers are a safe way to bring very high cost revenue into the hotel. This is their role. So it is the safe path of getting revenue, selling someone product that is going to pay this product very low. So this is something that everybody knows that is working with wholesalers. And I'm sorry if I say it like this, but when you buying sales from wholesalers, so when you're buying volume of sales from wholesalers, you're doing the right thing for paying your fees that you have in the hotels for the personnel, for the mortgage, and for everything that you cannot cope to risk on this cost that you have in any case in the hotel. And I completely understand large hotels that are working with wholesalers, but you have to measure how much this costs to you directly in terms of cost and indirectly, because wholesalers are able to bring your product everywhere without even knowing where they're selling it, because sometimes they sell it to a company that then puts this availability in a hub like Travelgatex, where I mentioned before. And in this kind of hubs, you as an OTA, you can go and immediately search for an availability and a price amongst every possible source of supply of a single hotel. So you can get this hotel room from a wholesaler directly from the hotel, from another OTA. You and what you can earn from getting buying the product from a wholesaler. So my idea on wholesaler is that they are not doing something that brings added value rather than volume of sales. But in this sense, you have to measure how much you're willing to pay to get this volume of sales. Again, it's the same thing. I'm willing to pay a very high CPS for getting a very high volume of sales, maybe paid in advance or with some advance. That gives me in a difficulty when I will get my online distribution direct, or is going to be very confused when you go with wholesalers and then you want to go, for example, in Metasearch directly. And their role, in my opinion, should be reduced by hotels little by little, getting more and more the control of the distribution, especially the direct distribution, or in general, any form of distribution. You can control it knowing the balancing between the cost of the sales and the volume of the sales. This is my mantra. Believe it, try it, because it's something that it works and make you scale up your business.
Yeah, we mentioned at the very beginning that, and this is the connecting link with finance, and the reason why I really wanted to have this discussion with you, because you are so good at balancing these kind of things. So it's too much time, and many people actually kind of complain with me saying that I'm against Metasearch, which is actually totally not. I'm actually the other way around. I'm supporting Metasearch. I am just against the idea of selling this idea, this concept, this channel proposition in terms of Metasearch Engine, as if it was something super easy, just about a connectivity problem, like you connect via Booking Engine or directly to Google Hotels, for example. You're just there, and that's it. You get visibility, then you just go for the CPS, for the PPS, for pay per stay business model. kind of claiming and thinking and dreaming that you're going to get extremely good result, but just like you said, and this is the real connecting links with the finance, the system returns what you put into it, in the sense that the more you risk, just like in finance, the more possibilities of revenue you're going to get. If that is not the case, you go for the safe way, well, revenues are not going to be that high, despite the specific situation and the specifics, how can I say, the specific problem of these very moments, where of course a post-pandemic demand is still very low. But thank you for sharing all this. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's going to be very helpful. Now the video is going to be recorded, so it's anyway going to be there for anyone to see it and to watch it at a later stage. I have no other question, but thank you again, Osvaldo, for being here with us, and I hope to see you again soon here. Maybe, very, very, very soon. We keep on talking about this topic.
Thanks again for having me here. I hope that we brought some value to the audience who can listen to us now and maybe after in the recordings. So thanks again. Ciao.
Your contact details are there, so everyone is willing to is capable of reaching out directly to you. So thank you again, and goodbye, buonanotte, buongiorno, buon pomeriggio, goodbye, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Bye bye. Ciao.
Ciao.